Welcome. My name is Amy Bauer, and I am the managing principal and co-founder of CASearch Advisors, an executive search firm focused on the industry and the real estate industry. Today, I am thrilled to have ShaineAnderson, who is the executive vice president and chief operating officer of NAIOP, and also a fellow James Madison University alumna. Go Dukes.
Go Dukes.
Shane, thank you so much for being part of Wires today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, wanted to kind of jump in because this is the first time that we've had someone from the industry association side of the real estate industry. So, really excited about this conversation. So, wanted to kind of jump in and first start with NAIOP and understanding kind of its focus on advocacy, education, and research, as well as have you talk a little bit about your role as the executive vice president and chief operating officer.
Yeah, well, thanks, Amy. Of course, I always love talking about NAIOP and what I do here. So NAIOP is the Commercial Real Estate Development Association in a nutshell, basically. I'll talk a little bit about why we still have the NAIOP name attached to us, but that will no longer be the case as of July of next year. But we are the Commercial Real Estate Development Association. So essentially, our members are commercial real estate owners, developers, and investors. That's kind of our bread and butter membership category. But then any other companies or individuals who service commercial real estate owners, developers, and investors also are members of ours. So be that brokers or architects or contractors or attorneys, we kind of run the gamut of all service providers. And it's about a 50-50 mix, usually 60-40 we try to keep it at. So 60% developers, owners, and investors, and then 40% service providers. And you're exactly right. You did your homework. We really tried to provide membership benefits in the form of advocacy, research, and then a bucket that we kind of call education, which is huge, which really is all of the different events that we provide, but then all of the online/on-demand education that we provide, mentoring programs, scholarship programs. So it's a huge bucket of education and networking. And I'll talk a little bit more about that kind of later in the interview. But essentially, what I do here is it's kind of a dual role. Obviously, I think most people know what a COO does. We kind of try to keep the trains running on time. Serving as like the chief staff officer. We have a staff here at the Herndon office. We're in Herndon, Virginia, outside of DC. We have a staff of about right now it's 38, going to soon to be 39, 40, probably in the next 6 months. But I serve as sort of the head of the staff, obviously in partnership with our CEO, Mark Salvatelli. But I also am able, thanks to Mark, able to really get out there and be a part of our strategy. So, for example, I kind of facilitate the process of our strategic plan. We hire an outside facilitator for that, but I'm sort of making sure that we are hitting the mark on all of our strategic objectives. Just one more example, I just came back from a CRETech event, which is a partnership that we just embarked upon with an organization called CRETech. As you can imagine, it's technology providers out there in the industry, and we want to bridge the gap between the developers, owners, and investors in the industry and the tech providers. So I'm out there doing things that are more part of our strategy, but then also sort of making sure that we are operationally sound and making sure that we're kind of operationally sort of hitting the marks. So that's kind of it in a nutshell as far as my own role.
Okay. All right. Now you touched on the rebranding. So talk a little bit about the decision to rebrand from NAIOP and sort of the benefits of that rebranding that the leadership sees going forward.
Yeah. So about 2 years ago, we solidified our new strategic plan. So we're about 2 years into that plan. But part of that plan, which was really sort of written and created by our leadership was to take a look at our brand, take a look at our name, take a look at our brand, make sure that it really resonated and reflected the organization that we are today. Because we have had that name for at least, I think it's around 15 years now. We kept the NAOP acronym back 15 years ago when we did another rebrand, because we still felt still felt like we were reflective of the I and the O. NAOP stood for National Association of Industrial and Office Parks. So our legacy asset classes were industrial and office. But as we looked at our new membership demographics, we really realized that we were no longer just industrial and office. Our members really reflected all asset classes, and industrial and office certainly is still very important in the grand scope of asset classes. And we still have a large number of our members still doing those two. But we also have a huge number of our members doing multifamily, data centers, student housing, university housing. I mean, really, it runs the gamut. But multifamily and mixed use had risen quite a bit. So we really felt like we were at a point in our evolution that it was time to kind of drop the I and the O, the NAOP name, and really become what our tagline had been for so many years, which is Commercial Real Estate Development Association.
Okay, wonderful. So talk a little bit about some of the different ways that the association is really propelling the commercial real estate industry.
Yeah, so I could talk all day about this, but I will try to keep it fairly short and sweet. But yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, we kind of coalesce what we do around three big bucket areas: advocacy, research, and then education and networking. So I'll just start with advocacy. So last year was a really, really big year governmentally, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
We had to really sort of make sure that when the Trump administration came into power, that we sort of re-educated all of the different governmental agencies that were going to be setting policy once Trump really became president. So our government affairs staff definitely got to work and made sure that they were down on Capitol Hill, constantly educating the lawmakers down on Capitol Hill. So that's the federal side of things, and then the state and the regional state, regional, and provincial side of things. I mean, we have a staff that is constantly out there on the state level, working with our 55 chapters. We have 55 chapters across the U.S. and in Canada. So our staff is constantly out there working with the state, whether they're state lobbyists or just the board of directors on the state level, on the chapter level, working with them to make sure that they're representing the interests of commercial real estate when it comes to setting state policy. So they are a very busy, busy team. And then secondly, we also have, I mean, obviously our research team is constantly at work producing usually between 12 and 15 research reports a year on all different topics. And those topics are really set by our volunteer leadership, which are people out there in the industry. So they really tell us what they want to learn about, and then our research team gets to work and provides those research reports. One of those reports is the sentiment index, which I think you're going to ask me about a little later. I'll explain that, but just kind of as an example. And then finally, our education and networking, that is provided both on the national level, but then also on the state/chapter level. So all of our 55 chapters host events. Some of them host weekly events. Some of them are hosting, a couple times a month. So we're just making sure that we're providing the opportunity for our members to come together, learn from experts in the industry, and share insights. And then we also host the national events. So that's what our team at the corporate headquarters is in charge of. We're in charge of putting together those national events. But then also providing on-demand education. So we do that through our courses. So right now we're updating our advanced real estate finance course. We're in a constant state of sort of refining and making sure that those courses are up to date. Yeah, that's about it as far. I mean, that's
a lot of
high level.
That's a time.
High level overview.
One thing we do want to touch on, of course, is you've also been a huge advocate for women in commercial real estate. So we talk a little bit about NAIOP's advancement of women in commercial real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been really honored to be the staff liaison to the DEI committee over the last 3 or 4 years. And part of that is the advancement of women in the industry because our DEI committee is focused on any underrepresented populations out there in the commercial space, the commercial real estate space. So a couple of the things that we've been doing in the last couple of years, we've started some women networking events. A lot of the chapters already had them, but we introduced some women networking events at our national events. So that's one thing. Secondly, we actually recently took part in a really cool study that Crew Network does. So the Crew Network is really the organization that specializes in women in commercial real estate. So we partnered with them on a study that they produce every 5 years to sort of benchmark where we are as an organization when it comes to women coming into the industry. So the talent pipeline that's coming in to make sure that we're increasing that. And then also, how are we doing as an industry in terms of providing opportunities for women? So that just came out recently, that Crew Network benchmarking study for women in real estate. And of course, as a member of NAIOP, then we push that out to all of our members and they get access to it so they can be educated on where we stand as an organization when it comes to advancement of women. So we're proud to be a part of that. We support it every 5 years that they produce it.
That's wonderful. So digging in a little bit on you specifically. So you have really spent your career in association management, working for the U.S. Indoor Soccer Association, the National Association of Landscape Professionals, and while the latter is, of course, commercial real estate focused, not quite as commercial real estate focused as NAIOP.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about what that transition was like into commercial real estate, what some of the challenges have been you making that transition, and what you really enjoy about commercial real estate.
Yeah. I love commercial real estate. It's hopefully going to be my home for a very long time. But the transition, it's funny you ask about that because I actually started this job right as COVID started. COVID hit the universe. It was March 23rd of 2020. And I was offered the position in January. I actually started as the VP of Education and Events.
Okay.
I do have an association management background. So I did not come from CRE, but I have worked for a lot of different associations. So I was hired, but I really didn't know, 6 weeks later when I was scheduled to start, I honestly didn't know if they were going to call me and say, I'm sorry, we don't have this position available anymore because the world was coming to a the world was coming to a screeching halt, and they had hired me to help kind of revolutionize and look at their live events, their in-person events. Well, they knew at that point there was going to be no live events for the foreseeable future. So I was thinking to myself, I don't even know if I have a job at this point. So, but anyway, lo and behold, I still did have a job, came on board, and it's been such a wonderful experience for me. Commercial real estate, I mean, you look outside and you think, all our members did this. They created this, the built environment. So it's an incredibly dynamic and exciting industry to be a part of. I'm really proud of being a part of this industry. The challenge is obviously, as I mentioned, COVID, but then just learning a new industry. I mean, in association management, we're running the association, right? You're helping to run the association with your team, but you're not an expert in the industry. So that means that you really need to rely very heavily on your members to tell you what they need,
Right.
because they are the subject matter experts out there. So that learning the commercial real estate industry, I'm still not an expert, by the way. That was probably the biggest challenge for me, and also COVID. Yeah.
It's a great story. I did not realize it
Yes.
started afraid during COVID. Oh my goodness.
I
What
know.
you mentioned the survey and of course reaching out to your industry members and talking about what they need and so you do survey your members on a regular basis and of course 2024 as you mentioned especially in the fall was an interesting time. There were some anticipated rate cuts. Everybody was looking forward to 2025 and sort of getting through the elections and kind of really excited for 2025. And then 2025 hit and Doge and tariffs sort of curbed some of that enthusiasm.
Yes.
So, what are you hearing from your membership currently about the current state of the real estate industry and what is the sentiment as we go into 2026? What are people feeling about 2026?
Yeah. Well, I can definitely say that it was a little more, I don't know, people were a little more nervous 6 to 12 months ago. So the sentiment has improved. We do our sentiment index or survey twice a year. So one just came out. So I have like fresh, hot off the press data. We actually do use an index. So in March of this year, the sentiment index was at 50. Well, what we say, the index shows that basically anything over 50, it means that the commercial real estate people that are surveyed, they feel that there's going to be improvement over the next 6 to 12 months. But we had just hit that 50. So it was sort of like teetering on, are we optimistic or are we pessimistic?
Right.
Because 50 is that benchmark. Well, now when we just surveyed them, the results came back and they're at 56.
Okay.
So there's improvement. And really sort of what our members were telling us is that they expect conditions to improve over the next 12 months. Some key factors that contributed to this, they definitely feel like interest rates are going to be cut in the next 6 to 12 months. They have some optimism around like the construction costs obviously have gone up and labor costs have gone up, but they don't think that it's going to continue at the same rate over the next 6 to 12 months. So, and there's a little more optimism about the capital markets too. So all of those mean that we've gone up by 6 points, which is good.
Okay. Well, that's great to hear.
Yes, it certainly is. We don't want it to be going the opposite.
So the next three questions are some of my favorite, and we ask all of the folks that we interview these three questions. So I'm going to take them one at a time here. So what is your biggest accomplishment in your career? What makes you the most proud?
Well, in my career,
Or just
yeah,
what makes
I
you
was gonna
proud?
say my kids, but
That's perfect. That's great. Here's
I
what-
mean, yeah, they're my greatest joy, and
Yes.
my pride and joy. However, in my career, I would say, you gave me this question in advance, so I've been thinking about it. I mean, it sounds really sort of very basic, but I would say my kind of compassionate and kind management style. It sounds so basic, but I think my softer skills have gotten me to the point that I'm at today in my career. Sounds so basic, but being a nice person, being kind, being genuine, wanting the best for both the organization and the people that you work with, and being genuine about that. Like I think that's really what has sort of gotten me to where I'm at in my career. So I'm proud of that. I'm never the expert in the room on anything, really anything, but I have a way of, making sure that people feel valued and appreciated. And so I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that I've stayed true to sort of who I am as a person, as I've risen through the ranks in my company.
Well, and how wonderful that you can recognize that in yourself and appreciate that, because I don't think a lot of times we see our softer skills or what our true strengths are, and it's wonderful that you can see that, and that's that has gotten you where you have
I hope so.
today.
I hope our staff would say the same. I think they would. I'm pretty confident that they would.
So, what have you found the most challenging besides the COVID start and then March? What have you found the most challenging about your career?
Well, I think it's, really, again, learning a new industry. I never feel, I always feel like I'm learning something new about commercial real estate. And I've said this to some of our team members. I wish I could go out and do an internship in commercial real estate so that I could live the life of a commercial real estate developer, owner, and investor, so that I could maybe do my job in an even better way, to really understand what they go through on a daily basis. But, so learning the industry, which is a constant evolution for me, constant process. I think balancing, sadly, I know it's so cliche, but work-life balance, I feel like, I've got 3 kids. We have 3 kids. My husband is included in that. He does have them with me. I always say and he corrects me. Like they are, like I kind of share them with you. Yes, you do. But a work-life balance definitely is a constant struggle for me. Like I want to do an A+ job at both being a mom and a wife, and also, doing a great job here, and doing a great job, but not only that, just being there for our team whenever they need me. And so doing both at the same time in an A+ fashion is always difficult. I think for any working mom out there, not just me.
So, how have you surprised yourself in your career?
Oh, well, I'll tell you a little story. When I first came here, I was hired as the VP of Education and Events. So again, I had an association management background, but I was really specializing. Had specialized over the last 10 years before that in producing really great events for associations. So they hired me to kind of look at their events. NAIOP did hire me to look at the events and really kind of make sure that we bring them to the next level. Like, how can we make them better from a content perspective, from an experience level? So that's what I was hired to do. And I did that for 2.5 years. And then our CEO of 30 years, Tom Bisaquino, retired. So that left the COO position open because the current COO, who was Mark Salvatelli, was hired into the CEO position. He moved up. So it left the COO position vacant. Well, my mind went to, oh my gosh, who's gonna be the next COO? And I didn't even think about myself.
Right.
Didn't even cross my mind. Until a couple of members of the leadership came to me and said, why are you not throwing your hat in the ring here? So I thought about it, and I did a lot of introspection about it. And I obviously decided that I was going to go for the position. So I'm really shocked that I'm in this position. I didn't know if I was qualified, but they certainly believed in me. And so I know one of your other questions is like how to help people as they embark on their career, climb the ladder. I would say find people that believe in you, find mentors, because if it weren't for these people, there were three of them that came to me and said, "You're perfect for this."
Right.
I would have never thrown my hat in the ring. So that would be, something that
No, that's great
me
advice.
about myself that I'm
Yeah.
even in this role, and I've been in it for 3 years and I'm loving every minute of it.
That's great advice for anyone entering the real estate industry, whether you're a female, male, whatever. That's great
Exactly.
advice. Whoever you are, find mentors, find people who believe in you, and that's
Yeah.
super advice. It's perfect.
Yes.
So, what are some of the industry blogs, podcasts, et cetera, publications that maybe you follow or read regularly?
Yeah. So I definitely follow BizNow. We work a lot with them. CRE Connect, I follow them. And, in terms of like, because we do work on the government side of things, I have to stay abreast of everything that's going on,
Right.
which is good and bad because, as you know, in today's world, sometimes I just want to disconnect from all of it. But obviously, I have to stay abreast of what's going on in the geopolitical space, the political space, um, because our members, that's really important to them. Like one policy that goes the wrong way can really alter their experience. One law that's written incorrectly or law that's written unfavorably toward commercial real estate can really upend their operations.
Right.
So we have to stay very much on top of everything that's going on Capitol Hill, but also on the state level. So I do a lot of reading of Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Washington Post. I've gotten really into the Atlantic recently because they're more of like they do like political analysis, like and the analysis of and their opinion, their op-eds too, like a lot of opinions about what's happening on the national level. And I love I've been getting into podcasts more. I don't have a ton of free time, but nothing industry specific yet that however, we have a podcast.
Yeah.
I would be remiss without mentioning the fact that NAOP has a podcast. It's a fantastic podcast. And obviously I follow our blog, which is called Market Share, and our magazine, which is called Development Magazine. So I have to do my own investigation a favor and make sure that I plug that because all of those are tremendously valuable for me to read as I make sure that make sure that I'm staying abreast of what's going on in the industry.
Okay. So, last question. You mentioned you don't have a ton of free time, but what do you like to do in your free time? And you do have some.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about unfortunately or fortunately, it's all about the kids. I don't have any, time to myself or much time to myself these days. I have two high schoolers and one in college. So a lot of my life revolves around them. I have two golden retrievers. So in terms of me staying active, I like to get them out on walks. My husband and I like to hike with the dogs and make sure that we're taking them out on adventures with us. Um, I used to love soccer. Can't say that I played it in the last couple of years because age has caught up with me, but I still love to watch it. That was my sport growing up. And then for me, in terms of spending time with friends and family, it's all about travel. I love to travel. I'm the type of person that, we're coming back from one trip and I'm planning the next. Yeah. So I love getting out there and seeing the world. I think I've passed that along to our kids. My daughter's going abroad this next semester, so I hope they've gotten the travel bug from me because I think it's so wonderful to just see the world. So
Great. That's great.
yeah,
Well, Shaine, as I mentioned, this is really the first time that we've had an opportunity to talk to somebody on the association side. And this is just great to expose everyone to a different perspective or a different entry point into the industry. So, appreciate you sharing about the industry, about yourself, about your own career. So thank you so much for participating in Wires today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's been a great conversation. So to everyone that is that's out there watching, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed today's conversation, and goodbye.